Hey gang, this is Vicki Kelly with Goldmill Trades. I want to talk to you this weekend about 3 ways to mitigate your risk. I think this is very timely right now because the market is going haywire, which brings with it lots of opportunity, but also lots of risk. Now, usually when we talk about risk, we think in terms of math and we start talking about win rates and risk reward ratios. For example, if you have a system like the morning method, we know that it has a 67% win rate and we aim for a 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. So you can clearly see that you have a profitable system. And that's very important. But today, I want to shift focus slightly and I want to talk about trade risk, the kind of risk that shows up inside the trade. Because risk isn't just math, it's also psychological. What happens when you take heat on a trade? Does it put you on tilt? Does it trigger your FOMO? Does it make you size up to hit a home run? Will it make you overtrade or abandon your rules? Those reactions matter just as much as your statistics. So let's talk about 3 practical ways to mitigate risk inside the trade. The first is to trade micros instead of minis. Most of the time I trade minis, but in the live trading room, especially with the live account that I'm trading to pass an evaluation for trader funding, I like to trade micros. Why? Because I want it to trade as conservatively as possible so no one feels pressured to be aggressive. When I share my monthly results, they're based on micros and minis, but I like to do micros most of the time. On the ES, 1 point in a mini is worth $50, but on a micro, it's only worth $5. So if I can pass an evaluation that requires me to make $3,000 trading before I get to my stop loss, that's telling something important, that it can potentially be done even with the smallest increments possible, even when we mitigate our risk. That means that potentially anyone in our community can manage risk conservatively and still pass an evaluation account. It may take longer, but it's absolutely doable. The second way to mitigate your risk is to size down and widen your stops. When the volatility decreases, your normal stops often stop working. If you cut your position size in half and give yourself room to widen your stops, yes, this does reduce your risk-reward ratio, but in volatile, whippy markets, tighter stops often mean unnecessary stop-outs just from normal pullbacks. So sizing down and widening your stops allows you to handle volatility without increasing your dollar risk. It's one of the most effective ways to stay in good trades through rough market conditions. And third, you take the most conservative entries available. With the morning method, you often have a choice between an aggressive entry and a conservative one. Sometimes the entry is very obvious, other times you have a decision to make, and as a general rule, the further you get into the morning, the more conservative you want to be. But if you're struggling with the risk and your goal is to mitigate that risk, choose the conservative entries consistently. That way, on choppy days, you're less likely to get stopped out and more likely to capture profits early. Now, here's the big idea that I want you to walk away with. You are the risk manager for your wealth. Everyone wants to make money, but wealth is built by managing risk, not by chasing profits. Your broker will manage their risk. They're not going to let you take a position that hurts their business, but they don't care if you take a position that hurts yours. That part is on you. So while you feel that it is your job to make money, your real job is to mitigate risk. The wealth is simply a byproduct of how well you do that. Now, I have developed the Trading Plan Blueprint, which will give you the steps that you need to take to walk through decisions so that when you enter the market, you know ahead of time what position size you should be using and what the rules are to determine that. This is not going to give you my rules. It's going to help you put your rules down on paper where you can read it every week. And so if you want to take advantage of that, I'll link you to that. You can begin developing your own so that you can mitigate your risk and have those things decided not in the heat of the moment, but before you even turn your computer on. So stay safe out there, and I will see you at the open.